Des from Aro-Tarot here, and hope that, hey, was good. It got pointed out to me with the top 5 tarot decks of 2017, how my hey was like that, so hopefully that one wasn't a bit too much. I actually had to do that a second time because I did it way too loud, and then the guinea pigs were all like, and I'm all like, oops, sorry. And it is dark in here. Why is it dark in here? I don't even know. Like on the camera, it's like, there's light. And then as soon as I start recording, it's like, it's dark in here. I'm just talking about books, so I don't think it really matters as much. For at least this one. So, this one's kind of late, and I'm not pre-recording it. Like, I did, but I kind of babbled too much. So, I'm redoing that one. So, yeah. Like 8 p.m. So, it's probably gonna get up really early in the morning. But that's okay, because today I'm doing day 5 and day 4. Day 4 and day 5 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge. And there's a reasoning why I'm including 5 and why. Because 5's in here, I don't care that it's going to be technically probably the next day by the time it actually gets uploaded, because it takes forever for videos to get edited and uploaded. Mostly just going through the encoding process and making sure it gets full screen, but you know. So anyway, for question number 4, it's your top 5 tarot books for 2017. And I did get some books, especially if you consider companion books, which I'm including companion books in this video. I just didn't really read. I haven't been reading much for like the last so many years. I used to read a ton when, like, years ago, like, especially when I was a kid. I was that kid that would sneak into the closet, because I always had my closet light on, and be reading, or I would always hide some kind of flashlight. Usually it was a toy, like Barbie and the Pegasus, like whatever that one was. We had the Pegasus horse, and its horn lit up, so like I had that in my bed so I could read at night, because I didn't want to go to sleep. I just wanted to read. And like Mom was like, I don't really want to punish her because she's reading, but Dad, you need to go to bed. Yeah, I was that much of a nerd. I was that kid. So I read a lot, but I don't really read as much. It kind of went into reading books. I mean, I worked in the library my sophomore year, my junior year, and my freshman year of high school. So, books everywhere. But it ended up being more if I read a ton of fan fiction, and I still sometimes do read fan fiction, specifically John Locke. But yeah, I read a lot more, especially fan fiction, when I was writing a lot more, but I got off track. But yeah, basically I don't read as much as I used to, and I kind of want to read more this year, so specifically like the tarot books and stuff, so we'll see if I can change that. So anyway, I did get some good books, and I'll mention the ones that I feel like are going to be good books. 2 of them I know are good books, I just haven't gotten to them, so I'll mention them. They just kind of technically can't really be in the list because I haven't read them. I got them in 2017, but I didn't read them, so. Anyways, the first book that I thought of when I was thinking of I just have them all stacked here, the top 5 books of 2017, I instantly thought of the Steampunk Tarot Manual by Barbara Moore, and the artworks is illustrated by Ali Feld. And that's because the Steampunk Tarot was the 3rd deck that I ever got, and I got this one the beginning of January. It was like, yeah, it would have been January. I don't think I got it in December. I picked this up next time I went to the mall after Christmas, so I don't think then I went like right after. I think it would have been January. But anyway, this is the 3rd one I got. And the first deck I got was the Justice League Tarot, which doesn't have a guidebook. The second one I got was the Shadowscapes Tarot, which imagery-wise isn't really like beginnerish. So some cards I was getting, some cards I wasn't. But the Steampunk Tarot is very beginner friendly, especially the book. But the cards are, you can see the Rider-Waite-Smith influence in the cards. It's very easy to read. And so this was kind of the deck out of the three that I learned the most from. And of course, I did read the book. I read all of the beginners, all of the preface and the, you know, like the how to read, and you could read like this and this. I have since also read the spreads in the back, and there might be a couple of the minors that I haven't read, but I've read all the core cards, I've read all the majors, I've read pretty much, I think, all of the minors too. Because I use this a lot to like go and be like, oh, what does this card mean? So I kind of go and read it. So like, I just didn't read it that from front to back. I kind of was like, oh, let me read this. Let me read about the court cards because I'm not understanding them enough, you know. It was kind of like that. This is a really, really good book. Like, I've seen like the deck, you know, getting recommended to beginners, and like I'd recommend this to beginner. Like, I was a beginner when I got this, and this one was really I realize when I do that I'm all dark. Anyway, it was really, really good, and I love how like it even talks a bit about steampunk too, and like what the meaning behind steampunk kind of is, and even actually goes, is this more than a novelty deck? Which it definitely is more than a novelty deck, you know, and it gets to like how you can use the deck. I love how it's got, you know, a practice makes perfect section, and it tells you different ways that you can practice. It also talks about what the numbers mean. So like this is the first time I heard about like what the numbers would mean in tarot. And just, it's just a really good book. And then of course there's full black and white pictures of each of the cards from it. Minors too. The court cards are in the backs. The court cards, like where it goes the kings, and then it kind of talks about the kings. I think. Doesn't it do that? I want to say it does that. Does it do that? Yeah, it does talk about like each of the Pacific one because it's organized by the pages, the knights, and the queens, and the kings. And then it talks about each suit. I want to say it also talks about each suit too. Does it? No, it does not talk about each suit. But yeah, and then of course all the minors, like, they get like a full like page, and then sometimes a little bit more. It's just a really good book. Like, and the spreads in the back are kind of different and interesting. I don't think I've really used any of the spreads. Just because, like, without, like, fully actually, like, trying to read them, it kind of confused me on how it was supposed to go. But, yeah. Anyway, I think I've talked enough about this book. It's a really good book. So, yeah. And because I didn't really read too much books, the other one I thought of was... Oops. Dropping a book here. Not even a tarot book. I just have this out because I was reading it. The next one I thought about that I actually did read all of is the Sherlock Holmes Tarot guidebook. And it's not like the best book in terms of, I don't know, like when you read like the parts for the Game in the Fog, it kind of gets jumbled kind of in the meanings. I don't know if I could give a good example. It's more so I think in the majors. I don't know, like, I don't really want to spend too much time on it. But it's just like, it kind of like, this, and this kind of is a bit too much. It kind of confused me. But when it talks about the cards itself, like, it's really good. I had to read this, all of it, because you kind of need to read the book in order to use the deck. Because, I mean, you could go by the images, but sometimes the images aren't as clear. Like, or there's more to it than just what you might think. Like, the Ten of Wands, it's Sherlock in a burning building, and it, you know, it's very Ten of Wands, but, like, then you get the more where it's, like, Sherlock always puts, like, so much weight on his shoulders, you know, like, he would rush into a burning building in order to help kind of thing. Like, it's got more to the meaning of the cards if you read the book. So this definitely helped, and I thought it was really interesting to see, you know, to read it. But besides, like, the way that the game and the fog's written, that was literally the only bits that I didn't care as much for. But besides that, it was really cool, and I really liked it. I mean, I read it from front to back, so obviously I liked it. And those are the two that I completely read. There's one that I just got, and this is my third book, and I just got this book the 27th of December. So I haven't finished reading it, but I've been reading it, and I'm about halfway through it now, as you can see. I'm currently on Temperance in the Majors, and this is, oh, and this, by the way, this one is, if I don't drop everything, how to drop everything in just every single video, John Matthews and Will Kinghan, so that's what it was by. Anyway, did I actually drop? Yep. I dropped a deck, and the phone had fallen in my lap. Of course. It's not a video by me unless I drop something. Such a klutz. Anyway, this is the Marseille Tarot revealed by Yoav Bendov. And it's funny because I already knew that I was going to be talking about this book, and then I saw Tom Benjamin actually put up a video mentioning this book. So, and then Mom was like, "Oh, the book you were just reading." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I already watched it, Mom." But yeah, this is the one that I'm currently reading. It's just, I just got it, so I haven't gotten through it. But, like, what I've read so far, like, which is half the book, I freaking love. I think it's, like, really, really good. And I love, like, it's, the thing I like about it is it actually has a whole section just on the history of tarot, about what we know about the history of tarot. It's, like, no one knows, like, where tarot actually came from and, like, why it's like this. But it even talks about the theories. But, like, I never really sat down and read, like, the history of tarot. I just kind of got more of, like, you know, you've gotten the Golden Dawn, and then there's, like, you know, like, the French and the Marseille, and then I'm like, okay, like, I kind of get it. Like, I knew that for Rider-Waite-Smith was from, you know, that deck was by Waite, you know, drawn by Pamela Smith, and, like, he was from the Golden Dawn, and Crowley was also from the Golden Dawn, and he made the Thoth, you know, and, like, it was, like, their take on kind of, like, the tarot, and that's, like, and then, obviously, you know, the older ones, and how they were and stuff, but I didn't really know, like, the full, like, more stuff. Like, I didn't know what the Golden Dawn believed in, and then they actually said it, and I'm like, that's what they believed in? Like, okay, you do you. I was like, okay. And, yeah, like, I just love to hear, like, even just, like, getting further in, like, just talking about the majors, it talks about, like, well, here's how the French was, and they're the school of the French, you know, the French school. And here's, like, the English school, and, like, how it was changed from the French. And, like, some stuff I'm like, why didn't it stay in the French? Like, the French system. Why didn't you start reading Marseille first? I don't know. But, like, for instance, the Lovers, how it used to be just the lover, and it was more about choice, where the English school was the one that kind of made the whole romance kind of thing more up. And it's like, I prefer the French in that system, so. But yeah, it's a really good book. Like, I haven't even finished reading it, but, like, yeah. Mostly I just got, you know, talking about the cards and, you know, like, court stuff, and so I've got all that left. But yeah, it's just, I really like it. It's also not hard to read at all. I mean, the first, like, I want to say the first chapter or second chapter, I was half asleep. I mean, I was about to pass out because I was so tired. But, like, I was really hungry, and I couldn't go to bed till I had eaten something. So I'm, like, you know, eating, half asleep, but I didn't want to just eat and go to sleep. So then I was reading, and I understood everything that was happening. You know, like, I was able to soak the information in, like, completely, like, you know, and, like, flipping through. So the writing's good to understand. As said by someone that read it while half asleep. Probably more almost asleep. But yeah, that one I'm currently reading, and I really like it. For the 4th and 5th slot, I didn't really read many other books. There was another tarot book that I bought this year, which I've already seen it in at least, I haven't watched too many for day 4 for the books yet, because I slept all day, which is why I'm filming it way later. But I already did see it in this one in the top 5 books for people, and I'm not going to name the book. If anyone actually wants to know what book I didn't like that I bought, I'll, like, you can ask in the comments. I'll actually say what book it is. I got it because it was a recommended book for beginners, and I got it on sale, so I don't feel bad about spending the money. And I started reading it, and I really liked it, and then it got to, like, the description for the cards, and I didn't really, like, pretty much almost every single card, I was like, that's not how I see the card. I was even telling it to Andy. I'll be like, she says it like this, and Andy's like, I don't see it like that either. And then it just got, like, more and more where, like, I just didn't really connect or, like, really care for any of this stuff. I know when I got to the Knight of Cups in that book, I was, like, really annoyed because there is only a single paragraph, like, this big, you know, for the Knight of Cups, and, like, the Knight of Cups is my favorite card, and that's all that was written for, and it basically just described, you know, like, oh, you know, he's basically that art, you know, he's that romantic person, you know. Oh, romantics. It's like, it was like that, and it's like, but the Knight of Cups. I mean, I always describe it when someone asks me, how would you describe the Knight of Cups? I instantly think Nightwing. You know, but then I'll say, like, the Knight in Shining Armor, the romantic, you know, and I can at least start to build from it. I just initially say Nightwing because he's what got me into tarot. My favorite comic book character. But yeah, I didn't care for the book, so I got it, and my mom read up to the card meanings, but didn't read them because I said that I didn't like, and resonate with, I didn't resonate at all with them, so she ended up not reading the card meanings. And because of that bad experience with the book, because I think I got that probably more around July, so I got that in the middle of the year. And because of that, I didn't really want to buy any books that were just for, that were, you know, that weren't companion books, like just buy a book like this, that's about tarot. Because that kind of put me off. It's like, why buy a book when I can just buy, like, or save up for another deck? Especially if it comes with a guidebook. Because with the guidebooks, I usually like those more, it seemed, than tarot books. I kind of broke that when I got this one. Although I was in the store when I came across this one, and I've heard great things about it. But that's actually why I didn't buy Tom Benjamin's book. Like, I love his channel, and I always love what he says, but there was that worry in the back of my mind of, what if I don't like it? What if I somehow don't like the book? Because of this bad experience, because I didn't like the other book that I bought just for it. But my mom actually ended up getting it, because she really wanted it. So, once she's done reading it, which she immediately likes, she doesn't read Marseille, but she immediately likes how the font's bigger. You know, it's great for her aging eyes. Sorry, Mom. But, yeah, so once she's done reading it, I'm gonna read it. And I feel like I'm probably gonna like it. And if I'm gonna like it, which I'm probably gonna like it, I'll buy my own copy. Because obviously I want to support him. It's just, that's why. And then it didn't get broken until like 2 days after Christmas when I bought this one. And that's because I've heard that his work's really good, so. That and it's a book on Marseille and my Marseille deck, which I have right here. I'm comparing the images in this book to like how they're done in this, and it's the Jeune Fille de la Luna, so yeah, it doesn't have a guidebook, so this is basically my guidebook. But yeah. So that one I haven't read yet. I'll be reading. So if someone asks me again at the end of the year, it's gonna be for this one. This video is getting way too long, but anyway, there are some books that I heard were really good. I haven't read yet. I got, Phantasmagoria. I just haven't read it. The Wildwood Tarot. I just haven't read it. I've looked up the card meanings in this one just to get some more, but I haven't actually fully read it. Same with like the Tales of the Mystical Cats. I haven't read it. I've only looked up bits, and I think I did read all the opening though, so I mean that one could be in the list. The Sassoribito Tarot's guidebook could also be in it. I had a conversation with Katie over it, so Katie Flowers, so yeah. So that one, I do really like how it's written. It's just, like she gets it with like what I was saying in the comments. So so yeah. When I could think of a fourth, it ended up being the guidebook. It's longer than a little white booklet, but it's not like crazy long. but it's my booklet I wrote for the tarot that I made. For me and my band, like, you know, only 2 copies. I gave one to the band members, and then I got one. My guidebook signed by them. But yeah, it's not like it's the best written thing, ever. But it was really cool to write something like a guidebook on a deck. Especially like when you haven't even been reading for a year, because making a deck and writing it gives you like a new perspective on the cards. And I actually do like how I went about writing it, at least. Although there is some funny stuff, I did want to point out that my sense of humor does come through. And I do swear in this because I swear a lot in real life. But there was one, where was it? Yeah, it was in the reading the cards. Yeah, so I was basically saying, like, you know, like, look at stuff. Is it a major? Is it a minor? You know, like, if it's a major, it could mean important shit's coming up. And that you should pay attention, like, what suits are they from? What do you see in the card? And then finally, what card is it? Wrap all of these things together in a soft tortilla shell and call it a tarot taco. No, but you do take all this together to paint the picture. I thought that was hilarious when I wrote it, so. But I do like how I wrote it. I went from a very story-like angle when I was writing the cards. So I had the key meanings, but then, like, just the full, like, all he's got is a broken stereo, a rocket, and his dog that doesn't think this is the best idea. He's gonna do it, though. He's gonna fly to the moon, and his journey begins now. Like, I kind of just told what was going on in the card, so you can kind of get a feel for it. And I did that with the minors too, which the minors, it follows a character throughout the whole suit. So the minors will actually start with, you know, it talks about like what's happening. Like, Pentacles was from the album Don't Panic, and it's the apocalypse has happened. The suit follows Ben, a new zombie, as he's finding his place in the world and works to find a secure life. I mean, afterlife. He uses he, him pronouns. That's because one of the characters, for the cups is non-binary, and also my one friend who's one of the knights is also goes by they, them, so I had to include pronouns. But yeah, like, I just thought it was really interesting in order to understand the cards more. Like, I'm not, out of the court cards, I have the hardest time with the kings and with the pages. So the kings were basically like the characters from the suits come back and like are now the masters of their suits. The queens were basically different girls from songs. The knights were the guys themselves, and there is 16 knights in the deck just because you can swap them. You can swap them out. Be like, oh, the one member's been being a little bit more of this card lately, judging by his social media, so like you can put that one in. Or maybe you don't see Jack as the Knight of Cups, so like you want him to be the Knight of Wands, which that's kind of funny because I have the wand and he's pointing at his crotch. I guess it's something he'd so do. But yeah, then with the pages, it was very interesting to go, especially since the pages was, the Page of Pentacles is my brother, which of course then you have gender written down because he's trans. You know, then I kind of talk about that. You've got me, you know, me being agender, so my gender is listed with me being she, her, or he, him. And then, you know, got my friend Nick, and then my character ended up being the Page of Swords. I completely forgot I could have included my one other friend, so he ended up actually being the character that's going through all of that shit in the Page of Swords. And I was like, I can make you the swords, like the King of Swords, and then you could go through the sword stuff. By the way, you end with swords in your back, and he's like, okay. But, like, yeah, like, it was just really cool to be able to write up just something. Even if it is just this. Plus mine's signed by band members, so yeah, I printed off the drawings that I did of them, and then they signed it, so yeah. Mine's signed by like a cool band. But yeah, so that would be my 4th. 5th, there's ones I didn't read. If I could cheat, I would probably I can open my thing first. If I could cheat and technically kind of include a book that I got technically in 2016, it would be the Shadowscapes Companion. I did most of the reading actually in January because I got this deck for Christmas of 2016. So most of the reading was very end 2016, beginning of 2017. So if I could cheat a bit, this would be the 5th book, which is, you know, another one written by Barbara Moore, and Stephanie Law did the artwork for the cards. And this one is very story-like. I don't think I read it from front to back, but I did look at this one a lot again in order to understand and learn the cards. But it's very story-like, and who knows, maybe kind of part of that, and also with the little quote things in the Steampunk Tarot is, I don't know, I like writing, so it ended up being like that. And if I make another tarot deck, which I'm kind of making one, but I don't know about writing a guidebook for it, since it's just for myself anyway, you know, if I made another one, or even like an oracle deck or something, I would probably do it in more of a storyteller kind of thing, because that's just how I am. It's easier for me to explain stuff when it's through story. Yeah, those are my 5 books. Cheating a bit for the 5th one, but those are my 5 books for 2017. And so I'm running out of camera time, so I'm going to shut this off really quick, and then I'll go into day 5. Man, I wanted this to be shorter, and it ended up just being longer. Yeah, this is already longer than I wanted, but whatever. It's already like, what, like, by my calculations, probably around 26 minutes long? I don't know. This part will be short, though. Because day 5 was, and I'm including it in this one just because I can't have a really long video. It would be really short because I can't really talk much about it. Day 5 was if you had any stalker cards for 2017, what were there? And I didn't have any stalker cards. I want to change and actually do daily readings, but I didn't really have any stalker cards the few times I tried to do daily readings. Whenever I did readings for myself, it wasn't really a matter of cards keep coming up, unless it was the Cosmos Tarot, which then it would be like, no, you need to listen to my message, but that's not really stalker, that's just that deck's personality. So I thought for this section I'd mention that my mom and my brother actually had stalker cards. My brother had a lot. He had 2 suits that were pretty much always coming up. I think it was Wands and Swords were the two suits that like were always coming up. He didn't see very much Pentacles and Cups coming up whenever he did do readings for himself, or whenever I did readings for him during our little like reading things, because we usually like, you know, just kind of like, oh, let's do some readings, you know. So it's like a hangout, sibling hangout with reading and messing around with tarot. He also had some cards. I know the Sun was coming up a lot, especially in the beginning of the year. Maybe not the beginning, probably more middle of the year. Lately, I don't think the Sun's been coming up as much, but the Sun has a tendency to stalk him. Which I think, if you're going to have a stalker card, I think that's a great one. Just the Sun just keeps coming up, like, everything's great, man. He was going through some stuff like tests and finishing up school, because he's graduating early. So, I see the Sun not coming up there. Instead the Dex was like, you're gonna go into some stress, and then he's like, I am going through some stress. But yeah, he had a couple other ones that were coming up. I can't remember what they were though. He said that there were some numbers that kept coming up. I don't remember what numbers were coming up though. Might have been 3. Might have been the number 3 maybe was one of the numbers. I don't know, he said it, but I was like half asleep when he told me. But yeah, he had some numbers. There was the 2 suits. There was like a few majors, and they just constantly kept coming up. So he had a lot of stalker cards. And it's just like, even just recently, just keeps coming up. My mom still has a stalker card. With her, she's learning to read tarot. So she's just starting to be able to read the cards herself. And not be like, Des, what does this mean? What does this mean? Instead, she's just reading the book, and just really learning. She's just always tired, so he doesn't work, so it's harder for her to learn. But she has had a stalker card. I can't remember when it started. I know when I did a year ahead spread for her, my brother, and me, this card came up. Which my mom was like, oh boy. But then during other readings that she's been able to do for herself, this card has come up and she's like, oh boy. Even with, she just did a spread, I'm trying to remember, she did 2 in a row. I think it was Ivan from Tarot Pro's spread for the new year. It was either that one or it was another one. I can't remember. We did them, but we did them like one after another, so it was one of them. But yeah, the card came up as basically like the year, and Mom's like, oh boy, what card is the Tower? I had to build it up because it's the Tower. My mom, this Tower has been stalking my mom for like a while, and it seems to still be stalking her. Like, and I keep telling her it makes complete sense, especially when I did the year ahead one, which I did like back in like October, I think. But the way I do it, it's, you know, it's just, you know, the basic, kind of like a clock, each one's the month, although it doesn't go January, it's just wherever you start it, you can continue, so it goes through a year. A theme for the next 12 months, but then I've added 4 cards that are oracle cards as well, and they aren't really seasons, they're just the chunks of the 3 months. So, the Tower came up for her for August, I believe, which makes sense because my brother's going to be going to college. I know, they grow up so fast. Both her kids are adults now. But it kind of makes sense with Tower with Andy going to college. And so, yeah. I keep saying that, and also with the Psychic saying a job change too. Which they haven't been right about when, but even the cards are kind of seem to be hinting at probably a job change. Just don't know what, so. Yeah, so Towery. Yeah, no cards for me though. I can't think of any stalker cards. Recently, at the end of the year, I did started doing the daily pulls again, and I did one from the Singing Wasteland Tarot. I think it was the Singing Wasteland Tarot. No, it was the Fidia Rosa Tarot, and it was the Page of Cups, and then I did it from the Cesare Vito Tarot the very next day, and it was also the Page of Cups, but then it wasn't Page of Cups anymore. It was just like a two-day stock. Yeah, so that all wasn't very long, and it wasn't really even about me, so I thought I'd just include that in this video. But yeah, that was day 4 and 5, and this is a lot longer than I wanted to. But I don't, because the way that I start blabbing about stuff, I don't know if I could even edit certain bits out. I'll just keep it as is. But yeah, day 4 and 5 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot challenge. And tomorrow's is a pre-recorded one, I do believe. So, at least I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I'm gonna do something for another challenge, so yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now. Des from Aro-Tarot, and I'm logging off.